The session is being recorded, and but it'll be recording the individual that's speaking is who ends up on the final video. If you have questions or comments, we encourage you to include those in the chat. I have some co-instructors here, and they'll be joining me in watching for those questions and things in chat. We'll try to respond through chat or respond during our conversation online as well. And we're going to keep this at 30 minutes or less. The book is short, and the sessions need to be short as well. And so the format we're going to follow each week, and here's the good news, you're going to have a different instructor most every week. You're not going to have to hear from me for 21 days. And I think that's a cause for celebration. I know I'm celebrating that fact, but you're going to hear from Amy Patillo and Pam Dutzman and Patricia Barrett and Joanna Reed Adams and Misty Ritter, Jackie Spainhauer, Sarah Massengale. They're kind of spread throughout the state of Missouri, and everyone may bring a little different flair or technique or perspective to the instruction as we try to build out, expand a little bit about what you read in your book, The 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader by John C. Maxwell. But each week we're going to try and begin with sort of a, for lack of a better word, maybe a monologue, the instructor's personal perspective on this topic. And then we'll try to engage through chat and conversation and some questions to kind of maybe flesh out the topic in a little more detail. And then we'll end with any announcements or things we need to keep the class rolling. We won't this week because everyone is getting kind of getting acquainted with Zoom. But future weeks we'll try to include some polling during this too to give you a way to interact even further with the training. So I'm gonna go ahead and begin. Looks like we have a good crowd on, and most people say they can hear. So this week's topic is character, and Maxwell put that first in the book. From his perspective, it is the key trait, the key factor, the key indispensable quality for a great leader. Now, I remember as a boy accidentally breaking a small mirror. The mirror was in my mom's bathroom. I think she held it up when she was doing her hair probably. And I broke that. And I thought, no problem. I'll just get some glue and I'll just put the pieces back together and nobody will know the difference. Well, to my surprise, the finished product was not at all like the original. Instead, I was looking at 6 separate, smaller, jagged versions of me. Now, that image has stuck with me through adulthood, especially when raising children. As I've tried to sort of model character to them, I've been cautious and cognizant of my words and actions and things that might break my reflection into jagged pieces of myself. You know, I don't want to look different at work and have one version of me at home, have one version when I think I'm being watched and another when I think I'm not. And so just like that mirror, you have to try and protect your image and your character to keep it whole. For me, the true meaning of the word character combines several things, but especially this. How do you behave when no one is looking? As leaders, we must encourage those around us to let their words be their bond, to be honest in both word and deed, to treat others equally, no matter their actions, their social standing, or their outward appearance. People need to know what we've learned by trial and error, that it's much easier in the long run to be unified in our words and our actions up front than to try and piece together a half a dozen different deceitful versions of ourselves. Of course, there are times when we will fail. We all are broken. We'll say one thing and sometimes do another. We might even fudge on a truth. Have you ever heard one of my fishing stories? I mean, we'll make promises that we sometimes will fail to keep. But thankfully, returning to integrity is easier than trying to restore the broken pieces of that mirror. There are over 200,000 leadership development resources available. Yet, despite that growing magnitude, they have failed to produce a lot of good leaders. I mean, this isn't me saying this. This is according to a 3-year-old research project done by Barna Group, in which 90% of Americans believe this nation is facing a crisis in leadership. 61% say they work for a boss who is bad, a bad boss. 33% say poor leadership at work is the most stressful part of their day. So what's the problem? I mean, you see a lot of these leadership development efforts, they focus on management techniques and building competencies and developing skills and tactics, but they fail to focus on the most important part of leadership. And that's the leader and his or her character and integrity and emotional intelligence. That's part of why I love Maxwell's books so much. And that's often what we talk about in our community leadership programs. We try to teach people how to lead themselves, lead in their family, lead in their neighborhood, and lead in their community. But it all starts with being able to lead yourself. And that starts with character. You know, sadly, there's a perception among many in leadership positions that focusing on the character of a leader rather than skills and tactics is sort of a soft approach that's not practical enough. So most leaders continue to bypass it. I mean, the results are clear. There's continued struggles. There's dissatisfied employees. There's frustrated leaders, chaotic, poor performing teams and organizations. I clipped a few newspaper clippings this past week. You know, there are examples in the headlines every day. Here's a few from this week that had to deal with bad decisions in character. People willing to lie for a job, employers accepting money for work not done, false stories to gain fame, and even breaking the rules to gain an advantage. So it's something that goes on around us all the time. But leaders of character, leaders who want to be followed, need to get beyond those types of mistakes, and character is the very best way to do that. In reality, every tactical problem, even though on the surface it seems like it needs some sort of tactical answer, a skill, it's often ultimately rooted in and can be traced back to weak character. Leading out of fear, leading out of pride, not being able to distinguish right from wrong, having misplaced business priorities or maybe misplaced life priorities. Those can all damage and impact our character. It's clear that if people are willing to follow you, whether into battle or into the boardroom or the front office or the front lines, they first want to assure themselves that you are worthy of their trust. Trust is the foundation of relationships. And people want to know that you're truthful, that you're ethical, that you're principled. No matter what the setting, everyone wants to be fully confident in their leaders. And to be fully confident, they have to believe that their leaders are people of strong character and strong integrity. We, all of us, don't want to be lied to. We don't want to be deceived. We do not want to be, we do want to be told the truth. We want a leader who knows right from wrong. And we want our team to win, but we don't want to be led or misled by someone who cheats in the process of attaining that victory. We want our leaders to be honest because their honesty is a reflection of our own honesty. So character for me, in summation, be honest, tell the truth, let people know where you stand, use simple language, call things what they are, demonstrate integrity, don't manipulate people, Don't distort the facts. Don't spin the truth. Don't leave false impressions. You know, I mean, the bottom line, tell the truth, leave the right impression, be honest. To me, that is how we demonstrate character. So Maxwell asked several provocative questions in his book for us to consider about ourselves. And one of his first points is that character is more than just talk. Do you agree or disagree with that line of thinking? And co-host, you're welcome to weigh in here at any time. Is character more than just talk? I see a lot of agrees. This is one of those things we do a poll on next week when everyone's more familiar with it. Co-host, anyone have anything to add on that particular point? Just unmute yourself if you do and jump in. Character has to be about more than just talk. You know, it's, I can tell you that I am an outstanding baseball player. I can tell you that I should be playing in the major leagues. I have a tremendous arm, fantastic curveball. I can tell you all those types of things. But if you get me on the mound and watch, you'll quickly be able to tell that I'm not telling the truth. I mean, and character is much like that. It's more than just what I say about myself or what I say I can do. You have to be able to demonstrate that in your actions. Yes, as some people are saying in chat, your actions are so loud. Your actions are so loud, I can't hear what you're saying. Love that quote. Yeah, that is a great quote. So it has to be something that is more than just talk. Maxwell also makes the point that character is a choice, while talent is a gift. Character is a choice, talent is a gift. Yes, talent is a gift, character is a choice. And we make those choices in big and small ways throughout the day, deciding to be honest, deciding to have integrity in decision making, deciding to be fair in how we deal with other people. I like that comment. Character is always on stage. Yes, it's always on full display, isn't it? And I would say, you know, sometimes you have a talent for things, but you still have to you have to develop that talent and put into work. I mean, maybe you have a talent for piano playing, but if you never practice, it's not going to be a developed talent. And character is really the same in that way. I mean, you really have to exercise that on a daily basis. Maxwell, I think, makes that point. It's a daily decision. It's a daily process. Character is always on stage. That's true. Another one of Maxwell's points, third, is character will bring lasting success with people. And that's probably why there's interest in this topic and why many have registered. I mean, you want to have success with people and success as a leader, and character is a key component of that. These are challenging times that we're living in for everyone. It's, of course, referred to as a pandemic, but it's a crisis moments as well. And there are going to be many decisions that people have to make during this and afterwards that may test the character of individuals. I firmly believe, and I think Maxwell's research would show, that those who maintain their character and their integrity will be those who come out on top, those who are most effective as leaders. And I think within our business or our job or our community, we want to be that type of effective leader. That person can be pointed to as an example of character. It will bring that lasting success with people to ultimately be the type of leader that people want to follow. Maxwell uses this phrase sometimes that if you think you're a leader but no one is following, you're just taking a walk. So we have to have character that brings lasting success with people. Fourth point from Maxwell: leaders cannot rise above the limitations of their character. That is if you have a lack of character, that is a limiting factor on your ability to lead. One of the reasons it's a limiting factor is lack of character leads to other problems oftentimes. And in the book, he quotes another individual saying, people with character flaws are destined to one or more of these 4 A's: arrogance, feelings of aloneness, destructive adventure seeking, or adultery. That a lack of character always leads to one of these 4 A's. But that was an interesting point. Any feedback or observation on that? Co-host? Anybody have something additional there?
Hey, David, it's Trish Barrett. And, I can certainly agree with that, because the fastest way to lose someone's trust is to show one of those character flaws. And the question I guess I would pose to the group is, can you overcome that? Can you become a better person? Can you develop your character? We all know we're not born with it. We all know that we have to learn it. Can we overcome it? Just a general question for the group. And how?
Thoughts in the chat box on how? On how you develop your character? How do you strengthen it, improve it? Being intentional with what you do and say, says one class attendee. Thank you.
David, this is Jackie.
Yes.
So one of the things that I really think people need to look at when you're saying, how can we overcome our character, is look around and see who you're associating with. Do your friends, do your associates have the same character that you want to display in yourself? So there's another good point that you need to consider.
Very good, Jackie. I've heard a story shared before that the FBI, people that investigate counterfeit money, they do not study counterfeit money. They study real money. They memorize all the characteristics of that and the things to look for in real money in order to help identify counterfeits. And that might also apply here to character. You have to actually know what a person of great character looks like, and study that person or associate with that person, learn from that person about what great character is. There may be other models and examples of someone with great character. Let them be your model, your guide, and from that, learn more about what great character is. Some other comments here in the chatting, at least. Let's see. We can absolutely overcome these with self-reflection, asking forgiveness of ourselves and others, and practicing good character. Yes. You mentioned forgiveness. I have a good friend who has a saying about forgiveness. It's eat crow while it's young and tender. That's always been one of my favorite sayings. I mean, when you make a mistake and you need forgiveness, ask for it immediately and fess up to your mistake immediately. Don't let it fester and get rotten. that'll be more of a problem. So eat crow while it's young and tender. Let's see, by practicing better character habits so we can get better at character. Here's another comment. Somewhat like an addict, the person must want to change their behavior. Others cannot force a change. That's true. And hopefully you're in this class because you're interested in some of these qualities and you're wanting to improve yourself. And that would be, character would be the place to start. Can we improve our character? Here's one commenter. I think we can. Maxwell mentioned searching for the cracks and facing the music. It may be uncomfortable and extremely difficult. However, it can help you rebuild. Yes. Do your actions match your words? When you make a commitment, do you always deliver? Practicing good ethics. Excellent points. Here's an individual out of Springfield in terms of character saying, actually, their model, pardon me, their model has been prayer and through strength of the Holy Spirit and Jesus as an example. Here's another saying, despite our best efforts, none of us will be perfect. I think we have to own our mistakes, admit them, ask others for forgiveness or help with accountability. We are all imperfect. When we see a leader fail, forgiveness is essential. Adultery was mentioned. If your leader commits this, they destroy their integrity, especially if the spouse was committed. So great comments in chat. Here's another, my favorite word of wisdom in Maxwell's chapter is a leader not only stays above the line between right and wrong, he stays well clear of the gray areas. That's a great point, great input, Amy, thank you. Be more encouraging, speak up when someone is taking time to talk to you about their feelings and about something. Yeah, be a better listener, that'll be one of our chapters later. Giving people a second chance, we all fail, dust yourself off and get back up. Sometimes the person we need to forgive is ourselves. And that can sometimes be the hardest person to forgive. Another says, I like the saying that we should never halt. That's H-A-L-T with periods. Never get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Well, that's a great acronym. That is when we falter the most, if we're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Well, and some of those might apply in our current situation. Maybe not the hungry so far. I'm eating pretty good right now, but certainly lonely and tired. But that's a good word. When humility is present, then we are teachable. Yeah, there's actually a whole book on teachability. Some will argue that's the one of our most important traits, having a teachable spirit, willing to learn new things. So some great input in the comment section there. I mean, character, it's the benchmark. It's the point that everything else rises and falls by in these 21 indispensable qualities. So hopefully you have that. When you have that book, look at some of the chapters. If you don't, or look at some of the questions at the end of the chapter. If you do not, you can email me or respond back to one of the emails that you receive. And I have a kind of a basic outline of the chapters that may help until your book comes or until you're able to read it online. And Maxwell does make the case in some of his discussion points, and this came up in conversation here, is really thinking about someone whose character you admire and studying that person, maybe even a mentorship type of relationship if it's someone close by or something, but that being a key way to develop character. Leaders cannot, what was said earlier and that was asked for a repeat, is leaders cannot rise above limitations of their character. All are destined to the 4 A's: arrogance, aloneness, adventure seeking, and adultery. So we're right up at the 30-minute mark. We promised to keep it at that time to keep everybody engaged. You'll continue to get emails reminding you of each session. Those emails will have additional resources and links if you want to. And please invest in reading the book and doing your discussion questions. This really is about investing in yourself, giving yourself a chance to reflect on these questions, to make yourself the very best possible leader you can be, and because we're going to need great leaders in the coming months. No matter your organization, your community, your neighborhood, your church, whatever you're connected with, there's going to be a need for great leaders. And hopefully this can be a start for all of us. Thank you for joining us today. And please watch those emails and stay in touch.
That was a nice job, David. This is Trish. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Trish.
Trying to figure it out because I'm presenting on Wednesday.
Well, I'll log in and you know, watch the participants and some of that for you as you're teaching and
Perfect.
going.
That'll be good. That'll be good. And I noticed you didn't use any visual PowerPoints or anything like that. I just thought about putting a couple pictures up that might be fun. That's
Yeah,
all.
share
You know.
things on the screen. And you know, and it's pretty easy to do. I've done that. To each his own. I think that'll be nice to have all the different speakers and trainers.
Yeah.
Everybody will kind of approach it
Yeah.
in their own way, and
Yep.
the variety will be nice.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. I think this worked out well, and I sent a one-time link to my folks with the idea that, you know, I assume they can register late.
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah,
which is an important thing.
we're going to keep the registration open, and we're going to share links to videos. And
Yeah, sounds
And-
good.
all
All
right.
right, thank you for doing this.
Yes.
Sincerely,
Yes.
I think it'll be fabulous.
it's one of my favorite books, and I love using it. And I feel like every time I read over it, I find something new in it because I'm at a different place in life, you know.
Yes,
And those are always good questions to ask of ourselves. So
yeah, sounds good. All right, well,
right.
thank you again.
thank you. Thanks to everybody else for being on here. Thanks to some for speaking up. And there's Geraldo. He made it.
Hi, David. I made it. Thank you. Quick question, David. Are we going to have a copy of all the comments made, you know, in the chat? Is there a way that we can get a copy? Because some of them made really wonderful comments.
Oh, that's a good point. I think when I download the video, I'm also able to download the chat messages.
Yeah, I think you can do that. And
Okay.
because you can mention some great quotes and resources, I think, too. So
Okay. So if I'm able to do that and then share that out, I will.
if you can, thank you. This was great. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thank you for the invitation. Bye-bye. Bye, Trish. Bye.
Bye, Geraldo. Good to see you.
Likewise, Trish. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody else.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
So.